Good morning, boys and girls. It is Thursday, March 26th, and here are your learning targets today. Starting with Math Board, I would like for you to go in there and compare fractions today. I'll show you a couple examples. Then move on to Freckle, get into fractions. After you do your fluency practice, try again to get up to another level if you can. Then moving on to IXL, fractions, P5, you're going to find equivalent fractions. So as you can see, in math, it's going to be a fractions kind of day. And then in science, a rock cycle experiment. I'm going to put a YouTube video in our Google Classroom link. Watch the video, and if you can try it yourself, that would be really cool. You can use jelly beans like you're going to see, Starburst, crayons, any of those materials will work. You can search on YouTube and find other videos. Targets for today, it is the last day before our spring break. That's right, tomorrow begins your actual spring break. So I will leave you with this target today, and then I'll just post on Google Classroom just to check in and see how you guys are doing, but no more work until further notice, okay? All right, enjoy your day, everyone, and have a great spring break. So in Math Board, comparing fractions, this is what you're going to work on right here. Comparing fractions section. We're going to compare 1/2 to 2/5 and just make the symbol on which is big. So here's a couple examples. 8/9 compared to 1/3. One way to do this is to draw out a fraction bar, make 9 parts, shade in 8. You can see 8/9 is almost one whole bar. The next one you want to compare to 1/3. You can see that's just one piece out of 3. Because ninths are smaller, it takes a few more ninths to equivalent to 1/3, but we've got 8 of them, so we've got almost a full bar. So in this case, this fraction is much bigger. Another example, we're going to look at 3/8 versus 3/4 and another strategy. Another strategy, after drawing this out, you can compare using the halfway point as a landmark. Here's what I mean. In this fraction bar, I have 8 parts. 3 of them are shaded. I am actually below the halfway point, because if I have 8 parts, the halfway point would be right here, 4 out of 8. 4 is half of 8. 4/8 is half. This is less than half. Over here we have 4 parts. Out of 4 parts, 2 of them would be the halfway point. Well, because I have 3 out of the 4, I'm more than halfway. So take a look visually. You can see this one is below half. This one is above half. So using the halfway point as a landmark is another way to compare fractions. I'm going to use the halfway point again to compare these. Again, I have eighths. The halfway point for eighths is 4/8, so this is below half. The halfway point for ninths, not so easy as an even number, but the halfway point would be 4.5. Well, this is 5, so that's more than half. So again, we have less than half, more than half. So using the halfway point as a strategy. But my favorite strategy, I've taught this to you guys before, is this one. If I cross multiply, that means going from this direction up towards this direction, I can multiply 3 times 11 gives me 33. And if I multiply in this direction, 18 times 2 is 36. 36 is greater than 33, so therefore I would use the symbol that 2/3 is greater than 11/18. Then you're going to go into Freckle, check out your adaptive math after you do your fact practice. So I'm using Charlie. Charlie's been really good about getting on here doing his work, so thank you, Charlie. He's in Florida enjoying the summer and the sunshine, but fact practice, you're going to do these and then go on to adaptive math. In adaptive math, I would like for you to, again, make it a fractions day today. Go into fractions and continue there. Then IXL. Only one lesson today. You're going to go into IXL, check your target, which one? I believe it was P5. You're going to use the models to complete the equivalent fraction sentence. The colored pieces in each model show parts of the whole. So in this piece here, you see 4/6 is shaded, 4 out of 6. So what is equivalent to that in thirds? Well, you're going to put in that fraction right there. Let me show you a little strategy you can use using the bars that we were using. So if I'm using bars, I can go 4/6. Whoops. Looks like this. 1, 2, 3, 4/6. How many thirds would that be? Well, if I backed up and just made thirds, that same region would cover this many thirds. Okay, again, I'll draw those other bars in there so you could see 4/6 is equivalent to 2/3. Or you can use the picture to help you. You got 2/4 here showing. How many eighths is that? Well, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4/8. So 4/8 is equivalent to 2/4. Both of them are equal to 1/2. And one more example, use the models to complete the equivalent fraction sentence. Here I have 1/4. So you've got to fill that numerator in. That is compared equivalently to 2/8. Okay, another way you can see that is if I drew these lines in, I can turn those fourths into eighths. And there you go, I have 2/8, which is equivalent to 1/4. Then check out your rock cycle. Here is a diagram of the rock cycle. And it may not make a whole lot of sense looking at it, but if you study this very carefully, what this diagram is explaining is any one of these rocks, metamorphic, igneous, or sedimentary, when applied by these conditions, can be transformed into each other. So example, metamorphic rock, if it were to become eroded, it would transform back into sediment, which then compacts and can go back to sedimentary rock. Add heat and pressure, it turns back to metamorphic, and so on. It's just a cycle. You can check out the YouTube video for an explanation, and if you'd like to, I'd love to see you actually do the experiment if you have the materials and the time, and if you want to make some fun out of it. Okay?